Guys, how are you? Welcome to another day of no agenda, no makeup, no bra, and no hair being done. Ta-ta. Actually, I've got a really, really important message for today's episode. It technically is what's coming through for today, not yesterday, but honestly, you just got to talk about stuff in real time because that's really the importance. It's not whether or not I followed a particular, model to my whole structure here. So yeah, as far as expectations and agendas go, I realized yesterday that my no agenda for 26 days is being hijacked by me still making agendas. So, yeah, I mean, I knew I had some scheduled stuff because I moved my time off up about a week and a half. And so I knew I had some lingering things on my calendar that needed to be completed. But full transparency and vulnerability, it really is about me rewiring my own programming around how I set up my routines. I am somebody that needs a specific routine in order to accomplish things, but the shift is really coming more to just modifying that routine and going away from having an agenda and giving myself more agency to have more flow within the routine. There's actually a way to still have a routine while having flow. And that's just a very interesting part of what I'm learning about myself. So, yesterday was very much about integration. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit because those of us that are already within an energy space or healing space identify as light workers or identify somewhere in that vein, way shower, pick your fun description. But whatever you identify with, if you're currently in the process of expanding yourself, your consciousness, and anchoring higher vibrational light, then you are already understanding this concept around integration. And so there's really two types of integration. There's an integration of knowledge becoming wisdom. That's information, knowledge that exists here, becoming wisdom when it anchors itself within your heart space. And when it's anchored in your heart space, that's when it shifts to wisdom. Totally different practice, very different teaching. The integration I wanted to talk about was within our bodies, our physical bodies, our energetic fields, an integration of new frequency and energies. And what happened yesterday was the attunement that I had on Saturday knocked me on my butt. Thank you, Nita, who you are, for that. Knocked me on my butt. I think I'm still in that process. So I have to be real careful today to really make sure I'm fully letting it sink in. So what I was kind of getting yesterday is that reminding myself that I have to take the time to integrate it. And I think maybe that's a really good lesson for any of you that are watching this. If you're not sure or you make excuses, or I'm going to back up because I don't mean that you're necessarily intentionally making an excuse. It's just a lack of awareness and understanding to shift the way you're thinking and being and doing, right? And so integrating new frequencies and new energies is going to feel different, and you feel it in your body in different ways, and everybody feels it differently. But there's some pretty common symptoms we all notice, just like excessive fatigue. And I mean the kind where like even holding your head up is just too much. It feels like extreme hunger or lack of hunger. It feels like an upset stomach and some nausea sometimes. Sometimes it feels a bit like dizziness, which means you need to ground. It can work its way in its digestive system through you in different ways. I end up purging, if you will, multiple different times during a day on the first day of an integration. And my body's just making room. Now, I've learned over time in the last couple of years that how my body reacts to it. And it reacts to upgrades and new frequencies differently at different times, depending on, I guess, also the level of that frequency. We'll just use that term loosely for right now. And so anyhow, this new energy yesterday just had me like, I was just laid out in the recliner all day. And, but here's the interesting thing. This was very different for me from other attunements and from other upgrades and activations that I've had in my energetic system, my spiritual system, because I have been buzzing nonstop since that attunement, and my body is feeling hypercharged, but yet I have zero like physical energy to be able to go do anything with it. So sometimes integration can feel like that. So this is actually a new thing. Like, I was so tired, all I wanted to do was sleep, but I couldn't sleep because I just had so much. I had so much stuff buzzing in my body and in my brain, and it was preventing me from actually getting rest. And so, but here's the point: resting is really important, no matter what rest looks like for you, whether it's laying on the couch. And for me, I could not engage my brain because I couldn't watch anything. Everybody has a different theory around what works for them. I don't think having Netflix binges makes you any less spiritual, by the way, or whether you have television. It's really about the content you're consuming, finding what resonates with you and what is going to match what you need in that time frame. Me personally, having something on in the background actually helps me calm and quiet and stabilize the chaos that tends to be in my brain at times. But what I've learned is I have to find the right cadence or in order to find like harmony with that, right? So what I mean by that is I actually will search out what feels right for me in that time. It may end up being a Marvel movie because I really need that level of frequency. And it's something I see so much I can put on the background. I don't have to watch every second, right? Sometimes I'm looking for something, the cadence of one of my British dramas, because there's a cadence to the language, and I find that it's very soothing and relaxing, and it helps me stabilize my energies. It might mean a documentary. It's like I find what works for me, and then I find the level that I need it at, and I put that on. So sometimes it's just me doing that, laying on a couch from 1 day, for 2 days, for 3 days, depending on whatever I need to do. Sometimes it feels differently than that. And I think my point of that is it feels different for each of us, and we have to respond what our bodies are asking us to do. And it looks different every time we hit it, right? So that being said, integrating new bodies, giving yourself what you need during the time, and then the imagery that they gave me earlier today, which is funny, I got 2 medical references for this. I guess because I was just sitting here thinking about being a healer and they gave me medical references. So if you had surgery, you would come home and you would take the doctor's recommendation, would you not? You would take the rest, you would allow people to care for you and help you, you would take the required medication that was prescribed to get you through the first few days of your pain post-surgery, or, if you had lifting restrictions for 6 weeks, like whatever it looks like. If you've ever gone through childbirth or through some sort of a surgery or had an injury, you know that a doctor's orders, it's to help you mend and heal properly to get you over that cusp. So then you can just start to learn how to, ramp up from there, right? Usually those first 3 days after. It's funny how everything's always in threes, right? And so that's the image they were saying. It's just like, look, you had some surgery done, so sit your butt down in the chair. Here's your spiritual doctor's note. Because sometimes I think in our head, we're still processing that we have to give ourselves permission to do that, because some of us don't know how to explain that to the people that we live with or that are closest to us, because those folks are not awake. And how do you go into that with people? So anyways, that was the interesting clarification that they gave me on that one. So yeah, expectations, agendas, and integration. And I'll be back with another episode shortly. See ya.